Hi, my name is Bella. I'm going to be presenting this brilliant podcast based on the soul's consciousness. Besides the narration part, we will put in some fascinating stories that hopefully explain it, but also make it more enjoyable. So, sit back, relax, put on your headset if need be, and just enjoy the show. We look left instead of right. We forgot to lock the door, so we return. What if each time that happened, another path opened for us to take? The combination problem, then, takes on a new dimension within this multiversal framework. Perhaps the tiny bits of consciousness are not merging into a single unified whole within one universe, but rather each quantum decision, each choice point, is itself a fundamental building block of conscious experience. Every potential path represents a nascent spark, and the aggregation of these specific sparks, the ones that led to this particular series of events, this particular memory, this particular you, forms the larger, coherent stream of consciousness you inhabit right now. It is not a combination in the traditional sense, but a selection and coalescence of experience into a distinct living reality. You are the specific tapestry woven from a finite yet immense set of infinite possibilities. This brings a profound weight to the poignant twist. If, in some other universe, a version of you is wondering about this version of you, then your very existence here, your unique set of triumphs and failures, your joys and sorrows, becomes an object of contemplation elsewhere. Perhaps, at some deep, unconscious level, there is a faint echo of these other selves, a subtle resonance that explains those inexplicable feelings of déjà vu, or those moments when a sudden, unbidden surge of emotion washes over you, feeling both intimately yours and yet strangely universal. Is it a whisper from a you who chose differently, felt more deeply, or suffered more profoundly? Would you live differently if you honestly believed this? The immediate visceral answer is often yes. If every choice creates a universe, then every breath is a cosmic act, every interaction a ripple across infinite realities. The mundane becomes sacred, the trivial momentous. You might strive for greater kindness, knowing a version of you exists who chose cruelty. You might embrace opportunities, knowing a version of you let them slip away. The fear of failure might lessen, knowing that success exists somewhere else, but the desire for this version of you to thrive might intensify. Or does it change nothing? In the stark light of morning, the laundry still needs folding, the bills still need paying. The immediate consequences of this life remain pressing. The knowledge that another you are thriving does not pay your rent. The regret for your missed opportunity, the sorrow for your personal loss, is yours to bear in this timeline. The abstract comfort of infinite possibility can feel thin against the concrete reality of your present moment. Perhaps, in the end, the only true choice that matters are the one you make here, now, in this specific conscious stream. And yet, the thought lingers. If choices branch, forming distinct realities, does consciousness itself also branch? Are you merely a label for a specific quantum state, or is there something more fundamental, something that threads through all these you, a meta-consciousness perhaps, experiencing the sum total of all its permutations? Maybe the combination problem is not just about how tiny bits form larger ones, but about how these larger, individual conscious streams could, at a higher level of existence, combine to form something even grander, a collective self of all you, experiencing the entirety of the infinite branching tree. A cosmic consciousness born not from merging within a single universe, but from the shared, diverse tapestry of all universes. And somewhere, a version of you just read this, frowned, and decided it was all just an interesting thought experiment before getting back to their perfectly ordinary, singular life. Or perhaps another version of you, at this very moment, is tearing up, feeling a profound connection to all the infinite selves they now realize they are. Which one are you? And are you sure? In this wild synthesis of reincarnation and the multiverse theory, the concept of soul evolution takes on a whole new meaning. Each dream, each alternate reality, and each version of ourselves becomes a stepping stone towards a greater understanding of who we truly are. As we explore these dreamscapes and parallel lives, we might begin to recognize patterns and lessons that repeat across different universes. Perhaps these recurring themes are the soul's way of guiding us towards personal growth and enlightenment. In this vast tapestry of existence, the lines between science and spirituality blur, and the search for truth becomes an intimate journey within us. By embracing the idea of a fractal soul existing across countless realities, we can begin to see the interconnectedness of all things and find solace in the knowledge that we are never truly alone. So the next time you find yourself lost in a dream, remember that you may be glimpsing into another version of your own life. And when you wake up, take a moment to reflect on the lessons and experiences you encountered, knowing that they may hold the key to unlocking your full potential in this universe and beyond. In the end, the true beauty of this synthesis lies not in the answers it provides, but in the questions it inspires. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the multiverse and the nature of our own consciousness, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and a deeper understanding of the cosmos we inhabit. What do you think? Have you ever had a dream that felt too real to be just imagination? This profound shift from an it to a thou reconfigures not just our philosophical models, but our very felt experience of existence. If panpsychism holds true, then every rustle of leaves, every shimmer of light on water, every atom in the air we breathe carries within it a whisper of being, a proto-experience. It does not mean the mountain is thinking about its age or the river is planning its course, but rather that their existence is not devoid of inner quality, is not merely inert matter following blind laws. Now we delve deeper into living in a conscious cosmos. Imagine the implications for our daily lives. The concept of nature transforms from a backdrop for human activity into an intricate symphony of countless miniature qualia. Environmentalism gains a new, urgent dimension. Deforestation is not just about resource depletion or species extinction, but potentially disrupting or annihilating vast interconnected webs of elemental experience. Our planet, Gaia, might not be a superorganism in the biological sense, but a vastly complex, slowly unfolding tapestry of interlinked conscious bits. Its oceans a deep, resonant hum of experience, its tectonic plates a grinding ancient sensation. Even our own bodies become more miraculous. The trillions of cells, each with its own rudimentary experience, combine and organize to form the rich, unified conscious field that is you. Your brain is not producing consciousness from nothing. It is orchestrating, integrating, and amplifying an unimaginably vast collection of mini minds, much like a conductor brings together instruments to create a symphony. Our thoughts, our emotions, our very sense of self would then be profoundly interconnected with the experiential fabric of the universe, not isolated phenomena. What challenges do we face, and how do we decide the path forward? Of course, the combination problem, how these micro-experiences coalesce into macro-experiences, remains the greatest scientific and philosophical hurdle for panpsychism. Is there a critical threshold of complexity or integration where proto-consciousness snaps into something we recognize as a unified mind? Are there undiscovered principles of information integration or quantum entanglement that facilitate this merging? Nevertheless, panpsychism invites science to open new avenues of inquiry. If consciousness is fundamental, then physics might need to look beyond mere forces and particles to understand the intrinsic properties that give rise to experience, perhaps even at the very earliest moments of the Big Bang. Could the universe, in its initial singularity, have contained the compressed blueprint of all possible experience, unfolding across billions of years into the cosmos we inhabit? This perspective offers not just intellectual intrigue, but a profound sense of spiritual resonance for those seeking a deeper connection to reality. It is a universe that is inherently alive, not just mechanically moving, a universe where we are not accidental, isolated observers, but integral, experiencing threads in a grand, experiential tapestry. It suggests that our quest for meaning and connection might be less about imposing order on a chaotic void, and more about recognizing and attuning ourselves to the inherent aliveness that permeates everything, from the smallest quantum fluctuation to the vastest galaxy. The universe, in every one of its uncountable moments, might indeed be experiencing itself through us and through everything else. Let us examine the possibility that anesthetized patients may possess insights into the astral realm. To facilitate this exploration, we have constructed a narrative that will be presented by Douglas. This account is based on a plausible scenario in which similar records have indeed been documented.
The sterile gleam of the operating theater reflected in Dr. Eris Thorne's glasses as he adjusted the flow of propofol. A man of precise science, Eris had always found solace in the predictable linearity of physiology. Pressure, pulse, oxygen saturation, these were his language, the irrefutable data points that confirmed consciousness was indeed being systematically, safely extinguished. Yet, the question often quoted in the esoteric corners of his profession had always lingered, a persistent, annoying echo in the back of his mind. "Patient stable, Eris." Nurse Anya's voice cut through the hum of the machines. "Ready for incision." Eris nodded, his gaze fixed on the monitor displaying the patient's brainwaves. A flat line of activity, mirroring the unconscious state he had meticulously induced. He had done this thousands of times. He was turning off the lights, not opening a window, or so he believed. Weeks later, the patient, a middle-aged history professor named Elias Vance, was in recovery. Eris visited him as part of his routine follow-up. "Feeling all right, Professor Vance?" Eris asked, notebook in hand. Vance smiled weakly. "Mostly, though I had the most extraordinary dream. Or, not a dream exactly." He paused, his brow furrowing in concentration. "I was floating, above myself. I saw you, Dr. Thorne, standing over me. And the nurse, Anya, she was wearing that little bee pin on her scrubs." Eris instinctively glanced at Anya, who was indeed wearing a tiny enamel bee pin today, a recent gift from her daughter. It was tucked discreetly on her lapel, often obscured by her surgical mask in the OR. He had never noticed it, and he certainly had not mentioned it. "And then," Vance continued, his voice gaining a strange intensity, "I left the room. It was like I zipped through the ceiling. I saw the hallway, Dr. Petrova from next door was complaining about the coffee machine again, and then it was just light, not blinding but encompassing, peaceful, like coming home to a place I had forgotten." Eris's pen hovered over his page. He knew about near-death experiences, about the anecdotal reports from anesthetized patients. He had read the Hammeroff papers, the speculative quantum theories, but to hear it confirmed with such mundane, verifiable detail about Dr. Petrova's coffee woes and Anya's obscure pin, it was unsettling. His scientific rigor, his bedrock of empirical data, felt a tremor. He tried to dismiss it. Hallucination, confabulation, delayed memory recall somehow stimulated by the anesthetic's lingering effects. The brain was a complex, unpredictable organ, but Vance's lucidity, the calm certainty in his eyes, belied the typical chaotic nature of delirium. That evening, Eris found himself poring over medical journals, not the usual surgical reviews, but the fringe publications he typically dismissed as pseudoscience. He reread the Pam Reynolds case, where the patient, seemingly brain dead, described the dental instrument used in her surgery with chilling accuracy. He revisited the ketamine studies, which consistently induced out-of-body experiences, often described as profoundly spiritual, even by atheists. Was it possible? Was the delicate dance of anesthetic gases and consciousness not a simple off switch, but rather a key? A key that bypassed the brain's filters, silencing the ordinary noise of perception to reveal something deeper, something non-local. He thought of the quantum consciousness theories, the idea that consciousness was not merely an emergent property of neurons, but a fundamental aspect of the universe, merely expressed through the brain. If so, then perhaps anesthesia did not turn off consciousness, but rather unplugged it, allowing it to resonate with a larger, unseen reality. Eris walked over to his bookshelf, pulling out a slim volume he had bought years ago and never truly read, a collection of essays on near-death experiences. He flipped through, finding a highlighted passage about the sensation of knowing rather than seeing in NDEs. It resonated with Vance's coming home analogy. He considered his own practice. How many patients waking from their induced slumber had dismissed their vivid dreams as mere anesthetic side effects? How much data had he and countless others overlooked or subconsciously suppressed because it did not fit the established paradigm? The silence in his study was profound, broken only by the rustle of turning pages. He looked at the familiar anatomical diagrams on his wall, the intricate neural networks, the pathways of pain and pleasure. For the first time, they seemed incomplete, like a map missing vast, uncharted territories. The next day, Aris began a quiet, unofficial protocol. With the consent of his patients, he started integrating subtle, hidden visual cues into the operating room. A specific, deliberately placed, non-essential object rotated daily. He did not tell his colleagues, not yet. He was too much of a scientist to jump to conclusions, but too much of a seeker to ignore the burgeoning mystery. He began to look at the patients under his care differently. Not just bodies to be operated on, but minds. Perhaps on the cusp of an incredible journey, guided by his own hand. Each precise injection, each calibrated gas flow, suddenly felt laden with a new, profound significance. He was not just facilitating surgery, he was potentially, unknowingly, holding the key to a brief, terrifying, and perhaps illuminating glimpse beyond the veil. As he prepared for another case, the mask on the patient's face, the familiar scent of anesthetic gases filling the air, Dr. Ba. Aris Thorne found himself asking a question aloud, a whisper in the quiet hum of the OR. Are we shutting down consciousness or opening a door? And for the first time, he wondered if the answer was not either or, but perhaps both.
I hope this truly resonates with you, just as it did with me when I listened to it again. Thank you for being part of this journey, and I can't wait to dive into our next adventure together. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Looking forward to seeing you soon.